All right, let's just dive right in. The internet is filled with some seriously strange rabbit holes, but every once in a while, you stumble on one that feels like a key to this much bigger, way more bizarre universe of ideas. Today, what we're going to do is decode a modern mythology. It's a worldview that's been pieced together from declassified CIA documents, some pretty esoteric mysticism, and the chaotic ramblings of one anonymous internet user. It is going to be a wild ride.
So, where does this all start? Well, like a lot of weird internet stories, it starts with a mystery. It all kicks off with a series of forum posts from a user who calls themselves Only Living God. And these posts are just this flood of aggression, huge claims, and things that just do not add up.
I mean, this is the kind of statement that just makes you stop scrolling, right? It's not just some random troll. There's this strange, almost self-aware declaration happening here. It's a claim to embody something really fundamental and dark. And it immediately makes you wonder, what kind of philosophy, what set of beliefs could possibly lead a person to write something like this and actually mean it? That's the question we're going to try and unpack. We're about to go on a scavenger hunt through some very, very strange corners of the internet and intellectual history to find an answer. When you look closer, the profile that emerges is just pure chaos. On one hand, Only Living God will claim, "I hate evil with every fiber of my being." But then in the next breath, they're claiming to be Satan. They threaten to do these incredibly violent things, even to their own mother. But then they'll say something like, "When I fight with you, I am only fighting with myself." This isn't just somebody spamming nonsense. There's a weird kind of logic under the surface, where these things somehow aren't contradictions. Oh, and then there's the C++ code for a project named Mind Control. We are definitely coming back to that. Okay, so to even begin to make sense of this digital god character, we have to step away from the forums for a minute. We need to look at our first source, the teachings of a 20th century mystic by the name of Neville Goddard. His philosophy, it turns out, gives us a potential blueprint for this entire way of thinking. So Goddard's whole thing, his core idea, is actually pretty simple on the surface. He taught that whenever you say the words "I am," you are literally speaking the name of God. But here's the twist. He's not talking about some God up in the sky. He's talking about the divine consciousness that is asleep inside every single one of us. He calls it the dreamer in man, and he says it needs to be woken up.
And this quote right here, it just nails the whole idea. The philosophy is basically that the divine, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, became human so that we humans could eventually wake up and realize, hey, we're God. So it's not about worshiping something outside of yourself, it's about realizing your own divinity. Your individual consciousness is God.
Now, if you follow that logic, you end up in a really radical place. For Goddard, it leads to this wild conclusion. The entire external world is just a projection. It's a dream. And that I am, that God inside you, you are the dreamer. So if you are God and the whole world is your dream, then everything and everyone in it is just a part of that dream. They're all projections of yourself. Hold on to that thought.
All right, so we've got piece number one. Now for the second piece of the puzzle. And this one takes us from, this esoteric mystic stuff, all the way to declassified US government history. We're looking at a pretty fringe theory about world-ending disasters, found in a book that was, for a while, part of a declassified CIA document.
Yup, this is the book, The Adam and Eve Story by a guy named Chan Thomas. The core theory is strange enough all on its own, but the fact that the CIA actually classified it at one point, that just gives it this whole vibe of secret, forbidden knowledge, So what's the big idea in this book? It is straight up apocalyptic. Thomas basically argues that every few thousand years, the Earth's entire crust just violently shifts. We are talking continents moving, winds faster than the speed of sound, and tsunamis that just wipe the slate of civilization completely clean. History as we know it, he says, is just a lie that covers up this cycle of total destruction and rebirth. And to back all this up, Thomas pulls together this collection of all sorts of weird anomalies and old myths. Things like woolly mammoths being flash frozen in Siberia with tropical plants still in their stomachs, or ancient legends from different cultures about the sun just stopping in the sky. He argues that all of this is evidence of these past cataclysms that mainstream science just ignores or tries to cover up. Okay, so now we've got these two really powerful, really out there ideas. On one side, you are God, dreaming the universe.
On the other, all of human history is a lie, hiding a cycle of apocalypses. So, what happens when you smash those two ideas together inside the mind of some anonymous person on a forum?
And man, when you put them side by side like this, it is so revealing. You've got Goddard on the left with this esoteric concept of the dreamer waking up to his own divinity. And then on the right, you have only living God, literally taunting other people, saying, "You can't stop dreaming about me." See what's happening? It's the same core idea, but it's been twisted into this dark, aggressive belief that only your own mind is real. He's not just a dreamer. He sees other people as characters in his dream.
And this is where you can almost see the chilling logic take shape, step by step. First, you buy into Goddard's premise. I am God. My consciousness is the only true reality. Then, step 2, you grab Thomas's theory. The world I see is a lie. Consensus reality is totally fake. And the final step? It's a terrifying leap. You conclude that other people, they're not real. They are just characters in your own divine, violent, and chaotic dream. They are, in his words, just part of fighting with myself.
And hey, remember that C++ code we mentioned? This is where it all clicks into place. I mean, if you truly believe the world is just your dream, why wouldn't you try to literally write the script for it? That mind control project? It's not just some edgy name. It is the literal expression of this entire worldview, an attempt to manipulate the source code of a reality you believe is yours and yours alone. So what does this all add up to? What we're looking at here is the creation of something new, a uniquely modern, digitally native mythology built for an audience of one. Let's just reflect on the implications of that for a second. You know, the internet is the perfect storm for this kind of thing. You have these huge, complex ideas like Goddard's philosophy, which used to be part of a whole spiritual community, or Thomas's theories that you'd have to dig up in some fringe bookstore, and now they're just floating around online, totally stripped of their original context. They're just pieces of data, waiting for someone to find them, stick them together, and build a whole new and sometimes pretty dangerous operating system for reality.
And that leaves us with this one kinda unsettling question, doesn't it? When you can curate a feed of information that confirms literally any belief you might have, no matter how bizarre, are you just learning? Or are you actually building the walls of your own private reality? When you think about it that way, maybe only living God isn't some complete outlier. Maybe he's just a sign of where we're all heading.